That's funny.
No,
Hi
we're not going to.
guys, welcome. Well, I'm just laughing because I just saw like Mark is asking if this workshop is to listen to some music. Well, not really, but with Felipe, you guys will build something like Felipe. You can explain it better, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like
Yes.
building kind of your own Spotify, let's say. Yeah, with machine learning. Well, welcome, guys. Thank you so much to all of you that are connecting with us today. I would like to start saying that I owe you a huge apology because I know there was like a misunderstanding with the timing. My mistake, totally on me.
You
I
got time zoned.
exactly time zone telling totally. I'm really sorry. Because I don't know you guys, where are you based on? And actually, I would love to know if you guys can share it. I can see someone from UK and Berlin. But all the webinars normally are in the, well, we always put like the Central European time. And I'm actually in the Canary Islands. So it's like 1 hour different. So this is why like my head get kind of crazy. Sorry. But yeah, well, as I was saying, well, my name is Valentina. I work from the marketing team, and I'm super excited for this workshop today. I'm here today with Felipe. So, hey, Felipe, how's it going?
Hey guys, what's up?
Well, this will be our very cool teacher today. And yeah, I mean, he will introduce himself in a minute. And yeah, I mean, well, I can see here in the chat, you guys are on fire, eh? Madrid, the Netherlands, Jana, Belgium, Poland, Belgium, Netherlands, Finland, Germany, Italy, Miami, Amsterdam, Sweden. That's amazing, guys. I always love to see like our international crew, like that's pretty cool.
The usual
Uh,
pressure? No.
no
Well.
pressure, Felipe.
So,
So yeah, well now, I would like to explain kind of the crowdsourcing rules. Basically, first, this webinar it's been recorded now, guys. So no worries if you miss anything. Like any minute, we will send you tomorrow the link to the replay, and also with some materials that Felipe have prepared for you. And also, well, we have a chat, and we would love to keep it like super super active as you guys are right now. Let us know like everything, but especially if you guys hear us well and see us well, that I think is the most important part. And also, we have an ask a question session, guys. So two things to say here. First is that one of the question is the link for the materials that Felipe share with you guys. Here is this link here. And then please add all of your questions in here, because if you guys add it in the chat, it would for sure get lost. So please add it there. And if, for example, you guys see that someone else asked your same question, please vote for the question so we can prioritize that question. And well, yeah, I mean, also you guys can see here a green button. Basically, this is where you can find like more information about our data analytics bootcamp. So if you guys want to check some syllabus, some information, and so on, you guys can click here and have all the information. And well, last but not least, I would love to give you just a little bit of like an I don't hack intro for any of you that may don't notice. So I will share my screen 1 second. Yeah, I think now you guys are able to see it. So yeah, well, basically, who are we? Well, here in Iron Hack, we are a tech school. We are totally disruptive. We are teaching our students the in-demand tech schools of the future, but today. So how we are doing this, Valentina? Well, basically, we are doing these through boot camps that are very intensive and immersive education, okay? Our boot camps are very focused on learning by doing, and I think actually Felipe can give you his point of view about this, because he's actually he was one of our alumni. And yeah, and we are very outcome focused. We really want to make sure that you guys that our students are job ready in their career. And yeah, so basically, as I was saying, we're preparing the next generation of digital creators. We really want to help people to, well, do this transition to change their careers or even build their own products. And as I mentioned before, we have, well, we are doing this through boot camps, and we have 4 different courses, okay? We have web development, we have UX, UI, we have cybersecurity, and we have data analytics, that I think actually is the one that interests you the most, as is the one that it's more aligned with the topic today. So for this one, as I said, and I'm just repeating myself in that part, if you guys want to have more information, like deep information about this, you guys have the green button below. And yeah, just like just to add that Ironhack is worthwhile. I think this is actually the main reason why we always have such an international audience, as you guys can see in the chat, because we have 9 different campuses around the club, plus remote. We have almost 9,000 alumni, and something that we are super proud of is that we have a 85% of placement rate in the first 6 months after our students graduate. And yes, I mean, and actually this one is thanks to our partner network. We have more than 600 hidden partner network and a very global community. And yeah, I mean, just I have to say, let's get started. I know you guys are here to have this amazing workshop with Felipe. So yes, guys, go ahead, and I'll be in the back end just answering like all of your comments. And yeah, let me know if you need anything. Good luck, guys. Bye, Felipe.
Bye. Thank you,
See
Val.
you.
See you soon. Hey guys, what's up? How's everybody doing? Let me fix here my camera. I'm gonna start sharing my screen, and I'll show. So let's start. I will start introducing myself before I share my screen. My name is Felipe. I'm teaching at Ironhack. I did the bootcamp myself in 2019. I was a just talking to myself is a bit weird. So sorry, guys. There are no other faces here. Just me. So it's a bit weird. I see some people from Portugal, right? I'm based in Portugal. Let's start with that. I'm based in Portugal. I'm originally from Brazil, but I came in 2019 here to Portugal to do the course. Yes, somebody asked here on the chat if it's going to be recorded. Yes, it is. Okay, it's actually in the same link. After this is over, you can have access to that. So you can also watch and pause, because we're going to be very hands-on here, and you might not have time to follow along. Okay, I'm living in Lisbon here in Portugal, but originally I was from Brazil. I came here to do the course. Before that, I was a lawyer. I started doing some online courses on Python, and to see like it was funny because I was working for some companies like with contracts and stuff as a lawyer, and they, like some startups, and I got to we have someone from São Paulo. I'm actually from this. Well, I was born in São Paulo, but I was living in the south in Santa Catarina before I came. So that's from Italy. So cool. So I guess some of you guys are here for the course. Some of you guys are just for the materials and the lecture. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. Right now I'm working as a data scientist. Okay. I'm working as a data scientist for a consulting company, and also as a teacher at Ironhack. Okay. But it was like almost a year after I graduated from Ironhack. I was working as a teacher until then. And then I started working as a developer. For 6 months, I worked as a developer, and then finally started working now more recently as a data scientist. I'm working for a bank, so it's I'm doing some pretty interesting stuff with process automation using machine learning. So there's a lot of cool stuff that can be done with machine learning. Guys, the material for this lecture, this webinar is there on the Ask a Question. Everybody saw where the Ask a Question button is. I'll start sharing my screen, and I'll see if I can share the. Let's share entire screen. No, I have to select. Here, this one. So I'm sharing that. I'm going to start to see. Yeah, I want to show you the screen that like from the Proudcast. Okay, you have the ask a question button here, right? And you have the link for the materials. Okay, so just click on the link. The link will open to a Google Drive page. This is Google Drive page. Okay, you have 2 files in there. The webinar and supervised learning is going to be the PowerPoint presentation that I have regarding unsupervised learning. And the next one, the other one is a Jupyter notebook file, okay, which has the project that we are going to be going over today, okay? So go ahead, click on the link, okay? You can already download stuff. Here, this one, you don't need to download. You can just double click and it's going to open. Sometimes it might not open right away, okay? It might open in like a black screen, but if you look at it, like if you hover down or up, there's going to be a collab button, okay? If that doesn't work, you can right click, right? And I think you can open with Google Collaboratory, okay? So these are like, go here, right click, open with Google Collaboratory, okay? This is, this tool is from Google, right? And it's a way that we can code in Python in our browser, okay, without needing any extra setup, okay? Yeah, so link is here in the ask a question button, right? You see, guys, I'm clicking here on the ask a question button. Thanks, David, for sharing in the chat. So David just shared in the chat. You can go ahead and click there and download this stuff, okay? Regarding the questions, okay, there is the ask a question button. You can ask there, but I will only answer the questions in the ask a question button in the end of the lecture, okay? In the end of the lecture, I'll go there and I'll answer some of those questions. If you have questions during the lecture, you can ask here on the chat, okay? So it's faster. I'm going to have this here on my other screen. So I'll have an eye, I'll keep an eye on that. If you guys have any questions that I think it's relevant for me to answer right away, I will. Or else I'll ask you to put inside the ask a question button, okay? Cool. So these are the tools I'm going to show you today. Let's close this one. So please go ahead and click, right? Make sure you have this one opened here already. While you get that done, you can run already these first 2 cells. You can click on them and press the little play button, okay? Or you can hold Shift and press Enter. Shift is the button that's right under caps lock, right above the control or the command, okay? So it's the little key with an arrow up. That's the Shift key. You hold Shift and press Enter, your cell is going to run. If you press just the little play button, that will run as well, okay? So I'm showing you here that I'm running them both. It's just to install the libraries we're going to do. I'm installing them right now because they might take a minute or so, okay? So while they install, we can start with, well, understanding first what we're going to be doing, okay? So I prepared a quick presentation, some slides here, okay? Don't, like in my part, don't get used to this. I don't tend to give too many slides. Usually we are more hands-on. We're going to talk about unsupervised learning because that's what we're going to be using on our project, okay? First, let's talk about the project. The project is going to be something that, well, that will imitate the process, okay, or part of the process that Spotify uses to recommend you songs, okay? So we're going to be building our own recommender system. Of course, a light version, right? It's beginner-friendly. It's a beginner-friendly workshop, okay, webinar. If you don't understand anything from Python, okay, you're probably not going to understand the coding part, right? But I do have a webinar on introduction to Python if you wanna catch up on that. Okay, so maybe you have some idea of Python and then you can rewatch this and it's likely that you'll understand this a little more. If you don't understand anything of Python, I still think you're gonna find this fun and you're gonna see how easy and with few lines of code, we can do something really cool, okay? And also the subject itself, which is very interesting, right? It's related to machine learning. I think it's a very cool subject. Well, as a data scientist, it's what I I work with that, and I think it's like the types of problems we can solve. Super cool. Okay. So let's first have a look at what machine learning is. Okay. Machine learning are algorithms. Okay. Here, the way we work here is with Python. Python has libraries, and those libraries have machine learning algorithms there already. Okay. It's big calculators. Okay. It's fancy calculators. You are going to throw in some information, and what the algorithm does is calculate a formula, generates a formula. So when you apply some features, okay, you're going to have a prediction, right? The idea of the machine learning is usually to cluster or to predict, okay? We have supervised and unsupervised learning, okay? Oh, wait, let me see here. We have some. So, Shivanji, you're asking about the songs data.csv. Don't worry, I'm going to go over that in a sec, okay? After the presentation here, I'll help you set up your Colab. So, guys, we have two sides here in machine learning, okay? Supervised and unsupervised learning. I will explain better the difference in a sec, okay? The main difference is that for supervised learning, you're telling the algorithm what the answer is, okay? And for unsupervised learning, you let the algorithm figure out by itself, okay? In those categories, we have classification or regression problems in supervised learning, okay? I'm not gonna go over this topic today. There's a webinar that I give on introduction to machine learning that I solve a regression problem, okay? It's the house price prediction problem that we approach in this. And I also talk a little bit more about linear regression in this other workshop. Today, we're gonna be talking about clustering, okay? We're gonna use a clustering algorithm to segment our clients, okay? Or in this case, we're going to be segmenting songs, right? So when you give one, you get a recommended one in return, a similar one in return. Cool. So you have more than one. We're gonna be working today with k-means, okay? So David, people are asking here about the other webinars. I will ask Valentina to Slack you when she sends you the email tomorrow that she puts on those as well. But here, Sander found the basics on Python, and there's also one introduction to machine learning. I'll ask Val to send you in the email that she's going to send you tomorrow, okay? So you can follow up. I have Python basics and introduction to machine learning in this one, okay? I plan to make one in Pandas. Pandas is a cool library we're going to see today, okay? But with the Python one, you can have already a pretty good idea of how we did the code to get to the results we're going to be analyzing today, okay? Cool. So, guys, clustering algorithms, unsupervised learning. Let me go over here to show you a bit more about the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning, okay? Here, this is a representation, okay, of a data set. So I'm going to always talk about songs because this is what our project is going to do. But this goes all over the place. You can, like, everything you can imagine, you can apply some algorithm and do some stuff with it, right? But let's stick with this song example. Here in my data set, I'm going to have, when I say a data set, I mean a table. You know, like when you open an Excel worksheet and you have that table, right? With several columns and several rows, okay? Those columns, they are called features or target, okay? So you have columns that are going to be the features here for our unsupervised learning, okay? So we're going to have features. In this case, we're going to be looking at song features, okay? It's loudness, key, tempo, some information about the song that we are looking at, okay? So, if you guys have lag, let me know, okay? I'll see if there's any problem with my internet connection, okay? So let me know if I'm lagging or if I'm having problems with the sounds, because sometimes that happens with Crowdcast, okay? So let me know if more than one is having problem, okay? Then it's probably me, so let me know, okay? Cool. So let's keep going here. The idea here, okay, guys, is that we have information about a song. Okay, I'll show you right away. Okay, I'll show you right now. Oof, there we go. So this is the data set we're going to be working with. Okay, these here, until here. Okay, all these that I highlighted here are going to be the features that we're going to be analyzing. Okay, so this comes from Spotify. Okay, I'll show you how to get this later. Right, this I'll get from Spotify soon. So Samuel's having a problem with opening the file. I'll go over this again, okay? Before we start with the collab, I'll go over it again, just after this presentation. So these are the information we're going to be using in our algorithm, right? So you see that you have a value for danceability, for energy, for key, for loudness, for mode, for speechiness, acousticness, instrumentalness, liveliness, balance, and tempo. Okay, not type, but all and up until tempo here, these are going to be our features. Okay, so the information we're going to use in our model to generate our recommendations. Okay, you can see that those are values represented numerically, and this is Spotify that gave me this information. Okay, Spotify has a way to measure these, and he makes the information available. I'll let you know. I'll show you how. Okay, soon. But I just wanted to show you what are the features, right? These are the features we're going to be using, right? Here, we're doing a 2D representation, right? Because we're limited to 2D here, right? But what this actually represents is a multidimensional, right, thing here. Several planes that we're going to have, okay? One for each feature. Okay, so let's say that we just have two features. Let's say we're looking at loudness and key. Okay, so you have each of these little circles. This is a scatter plot. Okay, the circles represent the rows. Okay, so each of these circle represents a song, right? Let's say we're talking about just two features. We're going to be looking, okay, where loudness is up here and key is right here. This is going to belong to a certain group. Okay, so what the algorithm does is separate the data set, creating different groups. Okay, while in supervised learning, the one we're not going to be talking about today, we have to tell the answer. Okay, in this case, we have, let's say, a blue group and a red group, and besides the features, okay, I would have a column telling me if it's blue or red, so I would have the answer there. And the model would learn from the answers. In this case, the model is not really learning. He's clustering according to similar characteristics, okay? How is he going to group? This is going to depend on the model and on the tuning that you do in the model, okay? So here a picture so we can understand this a little better, okay? Here we're going to be talking about songs, okay? I prepared 3 artists. It's Nirvana, Pink Floyd, and Justin Bieber. So let's pretend, right here, that these are fruits. So we have pear, oranges, and apple. Oh no, this is an avocado. Sorry, we have avocado, oranges, and apples. Okay, we pass in characteristics of those fruits. So let's say that it has this certain shape and this certain colors. So let's say that shape and color are my features, right? I'm going to pass in my algorithm, and my algorithm are going to look at similar shapes and similar colors, and it's going to group by different groups. It's not going to know that this is an apple. It's not going to know that this is an avocado, and it's not going to know that this is an orange, okay? This is up for us to look at the results later and realize that it's separated as we wanted, and these are the correct groups, okay? So that's it for unsupervised learning. This is the algorithm we're going to be doing, okay? This is the algorithm we're going to be using. I'll explain it really fast, okay? Really high-level explanation. K-means, okay? It's the one that we're going to be using. And the idea is that the model is going to train, okay? And this image here, this GIF is showing you how the model is training. The little stars represents the center of the groups, okay? And if at every iteration that the model is training, it's moving the center according to the new observations, okay? So the idea is that it's going to be measuring the distances until it finds the perfect center, okay? And perfect center for the sense of the algorithm, right? And it will draw this circumference, this radio, okay? And if it's within the radio, it's going to be considered a group or not. An iteration, okay? Because you see, the thing about a machine learning algorithm is that it tries different things, right? In it using the same data set, okay? So, no, rerunning on the same data, okay, David? Well, as it's, now in this case, it's, okay, I could consider it's adding, okay? But it's from the same data set, right? It's looking at more data from the same data set, okay? And it also reruns. So it's doing both, okay? It's looking at the rows and then at the whole, okay? Until it's calculating, okay? I'm not going to go over formula here, but there's a formula, okay? And every iteration, this formula changes a little bit according to the, do you specify the number of clusters? Yes, okay? Julia, there are algorithms that you specify, okay, and algorithms that you don't. For k-means, you specify the number of clusters. How do you know? Then that's going to be experience, okay? In this case, what I'm doing is getting information from 3 different authors, so I'll be dividing into 3 different groups, okay? But again, this is going to be a toy project, right? But in real life, sometimes it's hard for you to know the proper amount of clusters, and there are actually ways, okay, there are actually functions, libraries built to help you figure out what would be the best here. I'm putting in quotes the best because it's the best for the algorithm. Sometimes it's not the best, it's not the results you're expecting, okay? But it will calculate, okay, it will calculate. The thing is that there's something, I don't want to get too much into this because the point is not to go over the k-means itself, but there are calculations that you do. There's something called inertia, for example, okay? And it is how much the means are changing. So there is like an error, okay, that's calculated, right? There's like this error that's calculated. And the idea of the iterations is that for every iteration, you reduce the error a little bit. In this case, we're talking about inertia because it's not because it's a clustering algorithm. Okay, these are distance based. So what matters there is the distance between the features, right? So rows with similar features will be grouped together. That's the whole idea of the algorithm. Okay, rows, right? Observations, objects, stuff here, rows with similar features, right? With similar characteristics are going to be grouped together. Okay. So from that idea, I think you can imagine that you can use this for any recommendation system or because, or customer segmentation, right? Somebody buy this, and then you can use k-means to recommend things that people with similar tastes or that bought a similar stuff, right, would also maybe buy, okay? If you listen to a specific type of song, this algorithm can find this pattern, right? The idea of machine learning algorithms is to help us through statistics, through probability, to find a pattern, okay? Something that we can predict, in this case, cluster, all right? So you see, the idea of the algorithm is to minimize the distance between each point and the center of its respective cluster, okay? I'll show you the code for this in a minute. You'll see that the code is very easy, right? There is some more theory that you should go over, right? But also there's not just k-means, okay? So they were gonna use k-means, but there are many others. I just put this one to show, okay, a different way of clustering. This one is density based, okay? So it will create the groups according to how close they are with each other, okay? These are good to when you have a clear, separation between the groups here where you have low density, right? So just another model for you to know that there are many others, okay? So that's it. Hard stuff, okay? The theory sometimes can be a whole, right? You get there, and then there's a formula, and then within that formula, there are other formulas, and you can spend hours deriving it, whatever. But so let's go to the technical part, okay? The part that I like more. So let's finish this. Let's wrap this up here. Okay. Cool. So let's show how this works. Okay, guys. First thing is from scratch. Okay. This is the link I gave you, right? This is the link that's in the Ask a Question button. I'm going also to put this again on the chat just to make sure. So right now I'm pasting this on the chat. Should be appearing there in a few seconds because there's a delay here, right? But once the link appears there on the chat, you can click, and there's a song recommender here, okay? This is a notebook file, okay? We can right-click, open with, okay? Google Collaboratory, right? And it's going to open here, right? Hopefully everybody managed this, okay? You have to run the cell by pressing play or holding shift and pressing enter, right? And you can do the pip install of the two first libraries. You need this, so run the first two cells, okay? Now I'm going to show you to import the data, okay? What I did here was to import the data to you, okay? Because you have to use Spotify's API, you have to create your own account, okay? So I did import the data from Spotify, but because stop. Sorry. Santiago wrote something, but I didn't quite understand. It's hands-on, so you have to stop sometimes, follow along. Yeah, you can't really stop. Okay, so but I mean the webinar is being recorded. Okay. No. After the recordings, right, Santiago? So after this is recorded, you can rewatch this, and you can do it at your own pace. That's what I meant. So this is being recorded. So afterwards, after it's finished, you can actually rewatch this and pause to make sure that you're able to follow along. Because especially if you don't have knowledge in Python, right, this code might not mean much to you. So get in touch with, if this is your area of interest, first thing you need to know is learn how to code in Python, okay? And it's pretty cool. I think it's awesome. Watch my intro to Python if you can start with that, and then maybe you have a better idea of all the stuff we're going to be doing here today. So first thing, we need the data set. Okay, guys, the table. And I forgot to put there. That's the thing. I forgot to put the data set there. So I'm going to have to put there myself. Just a sec. Yeah, that's important, right? The data set. Where is that now? Lessons. No, webinars. There we go. Okay, so now I'm dropping the data set there. Okay, and that's why somebody already had asked where the file was, right? So this is where the file is. Okay, I just uploaded now the file. So if you would go there, okay, I'm gonna try something out, which is to run these two. I think it's gonna work. No, so you see, even if I have it here in my Colab, in my drive, but still, if I try to run, I have an error. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to download this. Okay, you have to download the song's data, right? And once you download, you have to come here. Okay, so take a look here now, or else you're not going to see. Okay, so everybody take a quick peek here, because this is tricky. Okay, this is really tricky. So Whenever you have a data set, because Colab is working in your browser, not just working in your browser, but he's online, okay? He's online. The Python interpreter, everything is coming online, okay? So you're going to have to load the data here. All your data sets that you need to use, okay, you're going to have to load here. Data sets are usually CSV or Excel files, right? They're tables, okay? And I'm going to click on this button, okay, guys? So look at this button because it's hard to explain how this button looks. It's like a little page with an arrow up, right? And once I click it, I can upload a file, okay? So now you go to probably downloads or something if you downloaded this song's data, right? And you're gonna double click song's data here, okay? Right, so now I'm going to double click here or click open or whatever. The idea here is that I'm going to upload my song's data CSV, right? It's going to give me a reminder. I'm going to click OK. There it is. My file is here. Okay, guys? Once I uploaded my file to Colab, now I can run this cell and I'm going to have my data set. Okay? Cool, cool. Cool. So, that's it, right? Hopefully it worked for everybody, right? I'm going to do it one more time in case you missed. You click here on this icon here, okay? It might be so that this is how it looks like for you. Then you have to click here on the file here, okay? So you see there's this little file icon here on the most left. You click here on the file. You can click here on this little button, this little icon, right? And you double click or you select songs data here, right? And there it is, okay? Once you uploaded the data to Colab, now you can use it, okay? Just some ideas here of what I'm doing. This six first line of code here, I'm importing libraries and functions, okay? Guys, what is that? Somebody, okay, decided to, because they were always, for example, having to do this, okay, to put data into a data frame format, into this table format, somebody thought, hey, maybe I can write a library, right, so that I can make this life easier for you. You can write functions. So readCSV is actually a function that somebody else wrote. And if I look at it, I can see how it was built. It's actually a function that might be in Python code. It might be in C. It might be in another language, okay? Either ways, it's a function that has been built for me to use, okay? What this function does, this function reads a CSV file, okay? It's called read CSV, and it returns me a table, okay? So this first line of code is creating this table for me, right? And the second line of code is just so I can display the table for you, okay? So I'm displaying the table here with this second line of code that I created here in my first line of code, okay? PD here is from pandas, okay? Pandas is a very important library if we're going to be studying data analytics. If you're going to be talking about data in general in Python, you're going to need to learn pandas, okay? Pandas is the most basic and common library for creating tables and transforming tables. You see that we're only going to be using pandas here to deal with the tables, okay? sklearn is scikit-learn, okay? It's the library for machine learning, the most famous library in machine learning for Python, okay? We're going to be using k-means, which is the algorithm I told you, and we're going to be a standard scaler, which is scaling, and I'll explain this in a bit. We're also going to be using Spotify. Spotify is an API wrapper, okay? So what is an API wrapper? Okay, no, it's not a wrapper. It's just a wrapper, okay? The idea here is that an API is something that connects data, okay, and distributes that data in an easier way, okay? So we are connecting to Spotify's API, right? But so that it's easier for us, so we have functions that we can use. somebody with Python created some functions that connects to Spotify's API, right? And do some stuff in the API. Okay. So this is called Spotify. It's a library that helps us gather data from Spotify, and that's it. So that's it. It's a library that helps us. Yeah. So a library that helps us get data from Spotify. Okay. In a way that they can control, right? So this is also, if you go, I didn't put the link, right? I'm going to put the link. Just move this side. I'm going to Spotify API. Okay, oops. I'm gonna leave this here already, okay? Because you need to come here later. I left my username and my ID, so we can use this time, okay? Hopefully it's not gonna blow up in my face. I'm putting here the link in the chat. I'm also going to put in the ask a question button, okay? So I'm also gonna write here a link to Spotify API. Okay, so you have to sign up. You're gonna have a user. You're gonna have you don't have to pay. Okay, it's free. You don't have to have Spotify either. Okay, it's just for developers, and you can access it. Like there are limitations within the API that you can read here. There's documentation here. Okay, that you can read and understand how it works. Everything that you can do with Spotify's API is here. So you can actually, okay, if I need a certain information from a track, this is how I can get it. There's a lot of cool stuff here. If you are going to use Spotify or Spotify's API, you're going to have to go through reading this, right? Don't worry, it's all going to be worth it, okay? So you're going to have this kind of, every API you're going to use, you have to read the documentation and understand how the API works, okay? So you give a command and you get a data, okay? You get some sort of data, okay? According to what you asked, okay, in your code. So you write some code that's actually asking for some data, and the API is giving you that data, okay? Also, this one is, also from sklearn, this is what we're going to be using to calculate the closest song, okay? So, David, David asked if the CSV was created using Spotify, okay? Spotify. And the thing is, I'm going to show you how I collected the data, okay? Yes, I collected the data using Spotify, okay? Using Spotify. I gathered the data into a pandas data frame, and then I saved that to a CSV, okay? So I gathered the data from Spotify, but I saved that into a CSV, okay, using pandas. I'm going to show you how I did everything here, okay? Cool. So the first function we're going to be using is from pandas library, okay? I'm passing in the name of my file, okay? And this is just because I had an unted column. Don't worry about this, okay? So I'm gathering here all the information, this information that I gathered from Spotify. I have song name, which is going to be important for me, artist, okay? And the features here, okay? The other features here. Where is it? Anyway, there we go. And the features here up until tempo, okay? I'll show you the work. I'm going to show you this a bit quick because we have less than 30 minutes, okay, to finish. So, yeah, you see, Chrissy answered there something which is related to the metrics, okay? That it's a way that you can evaluate your results. I'm not going to be using these here. I'm just going to be looking at my results, okay? We're not going to get into the evaluation part of the model. Only looking at results, okay? Which is not the correct thing to do, but if I start to get into metrics, it's not beginner's level anymore, okay? So let's start. I start this object. In Python, everything is an object, so I can use object freely. Whenever I say object, that's just something in Python, okay? Here, I'm assigning this object to this variable. So SP is now the thing that I'm actually going to be using. You see here that I have to pass in my user ID and my client secret. Okay. You don't need to run it, but you maybe the worst thing that can happen is that I won't be able to make requests for a while. Okay. But this is my ID and this is my password. Okay, guys, that you have there. So maybe you want to create your own if you're going to be using this, because after the webinar, I'll reset this. Okay. Because you see, they are kind of weird numbers. It's I don't have this, but I don't know these by heart. They are just generated. Okay. When you do the login, you see what I mean. So one of the most useful things here in Spotify is that we can use sp.search, right? sp now is the Spotify. Okay. Everything that we're using from Spotify. .search is a function. Okay. That will allow me to write a query here. I'm getting, for example, artist Justin Bieber, and the limit here is how many responses I want to get back. The maximum responses is 50. Okay, guys, you can bypass this by looking at the if you look at the documentation. Okay, and now I'm going to hover over here, but no. What you can do, okay, and documentation, right, guys, is very important. Is that you start as soon as you can, as soon as it's not overwhelming for you anymore, okay, for you to start looking at the documentation. Documentation will explain how a certain tool works. It was written by the people who made the tool, okay? Every programming developing tools out there needs to have a documentation, a place where you can look and understand how you're going to use it, okay? Yeah, I'll zoom in. Okay, I'll zoom in. Somebody asked. And yeah, it was a small letter. So here's Spotify, and we're going to have the documentation here. That's going to tell us how we're going to use stuff, okay? I'm going to see if I have search here. I'm going to, not always, documentation is not always easy to use, okay? It's not always easy to use. I was expecting this to be faster. I don't want to waste any time, but believe me that if you do, you see, like, you have examples on how to use stuff, okay? And you also have different parameters that you can set inside your functions, okay? For example, here, when I say parameters, I mean this, right? Here, this is the name of the function this is the object I'm starting, okay? This is actually the object I'm starting. This is a function, right? We have parameters inside functions, right? And we can set these parameters according to what they do. To know what they do, I would visit documentation somewhere around here. I'm not going to lose too much time here, okay? But you will find what every parameter does there, okay? I'm saying that because I know that you also have an offset parameter that you can use in case you want to be getting more than 50 results, okay? Anyways, this will generate me, okay? I'm printing this right now here. This is going to generate me a JSON file, okay? What is a JSON file? Is a dictionary, lists of nested dictionaries, okay? If you don't know what any of that means, on Python Introduction for Python, I explain what a list is a place where you can store objects. I explain what dictionary is another place that you can store objects that works a bit differently. I'll show you how it looks like, okay? But because this is, all over the place, okay? I like to use a tool called JSONlint. You see that this is very huge. I don't see where I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit because it's here. So what I'm going to do is go all the way up, okay? And I'm going to select the whole thing, okay? I'm going to select this, and then I'm just going to scroll down, okay? I'm going to hold Shift, okay? And I'm going to click all the way down. So I select everything, okay? I want to select everything. You can also do the drag and drop, but dragging this will take a while because it's a long output, okay? So copy that, okay? If you have problems, don't worry. Just look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to work with a JSON file, okay? This is a JSON file, like I said. It's a complicated way of storing data, okay? But that's what APIs usually that's what APIs return, okay? I have this JSON lint. Okay, this is the website I use, JSON lint, and I can paste all my stuff here, right? I'm just going to click validate JSON, so it kind of stacks everything up for me, so everything gets stacked right. And see here, I can see arrows, okay? These arrows are going to be to help me to understand my dictionary here, okay? It's a dictionary, right? In Python, dictionaries are written with these curly brackets, okay? If you don't know anything about this, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, right? This, you learn with the basics of Python. You have to start learning how to use dictionaries and how to access data inside that dictionary, okay? I'm showing that you have several arrows, and depending on the arrows that you close, right, you're closing this level here. So for example, here I have items, right? If I close, everything that's inside items are going to be here, okay? So what I'm looking for, all right, is information about the song name, okay, and the ID. So Keisha or Kesha, sorry about the pronunciation, okay, she or he also, I don't names here for me, I don't know, okay. You can click, right, and you come here, jasonlint.com, right? Somebody shared there the link. You can click on the chat and you'll be driven here. This will cool, okay. There was an artist, right, like a singer, like Kesha or something. So that, I think that's when I got the gender. So David asked about the limit here, okay? The limit is how many results we got, okay? Here I'm looking for artist Justin Bieber. It's getting tracks, okay? Somebody wrote Kesha with the dollar sign. So yeah, that's the artist I was talking about. So you have here the query, and you have here the limit, okay? The limit is the number of results you want. Here, I'm looking for Justin Bieber, and I'm gonna get the first 50 songs that appears in my results, okay? The maximum is 50, okay? Spotify sets this limit of 50 that I can get per turn. If I want more, I can bypass the limit, okay? I can write a for loop and use the offset parameter to get 50, and then the next 50, and then so on and so forth, okay? But I'll show you how this will work in a loop in a sec. Guys, so this is the idea here, okay, that we're going to have a dictionary. This is information. Look at the information here that I have. The items here, right? In items, I'm going to put an enter here just so I can, you see what I did here? Look, if I press enter, now I can close at this level, okay? Why am I closing at this level? To show you that items is a list of dictionaries, okay? So I'm going to have 50 dictionaries here, one for each song, okay, guys? I'm not going to close all of them because there's 50, okay? But inside items, you have a list, okay? Lists are written as square brackets, okay? You have a list. And this list will contain 50 songs, okay? Inside each, you're going to have the information of that song. So I'm opening here, and I know that, let me close here to make sure that I'm selecting the right thing. Okay, so yes, I am selecting the right thing. So you see, I'm going to select this, and I'm going to open it. So everything that's selected is information about one song, okay? What I need is, I don't need artists because I already know the artist. I don't need available markets because that's not information I care about. External IDs, I don't need. I don't need my URLs. Okay, I need ID. Okay, guys, I will need ID, and I will need name. Okay, so this is the two informations I will be grabbing from all of this. But I will have to grab this information for every song. Okay, this is just information for one song, right? The name and the IDs. I have 50 songs here, right? And this is the code that I had to write to get into what I wanted. Let's zoom in. So This is a list comprehension, right? Don't think too much about this. Okay. It's a for loop. A for loop is a way of me to iterate over an object, right? And in every loop, I'm going to be looking at one of the objects inside this other object, okay? In this case, look, I have results. Results is the name of my dictionary, okay? I get into tracks, okay? And then I get into items, okay? So what I'm doing here is results is the whole thing. I'm getting into tracks, okay? Because tracks is this whole dictionary here, right? So I'm getting into tracks, and now I'm getting into items, because in items is where I have my list of 50 songs. So in every loop, I'll be looping at a different song, okay? So I'm looping through that, and from that I call track, this is a variable that I'm creating it right now. I could call it whatever I want, okay? I'm calling it track because it is the information about the track. I'm getting the track ID, okay? So this is the way that I could fish out the information I want from that dictionary, okay? Syntax, okay? You need to know the basics of Python to understand what's going on here, okay? You need to understand how a dictionary works, how a list works, and how you can access the data inside those objects, okay? Next step is to use audio features, which is a function that's from Spotify, as you can see, okay? If I pass in a list of track IDs, here, this is generating a list of 50 track IDs, okay? So I pass in 50 track IDs, and it's going to return me another JSON file, okay? That ugly JSON file that we saw, okay? It's generating that JSON file with song features. But here in this line of code, I'm using pandas, okay, to transform that JSON file, which is audio's features, into a table so I can look at it, right? Now I can look at the table and I can see, right? So this is the table just for Justin Bieber. I don't have other artists here yet, okay? But this is how I started thinking about building the process, okay? So now I have the data frame with all this information. This information came from here, okay? I needed track IDs to get the song features, so I had to do this, okay? Cool. But this is for one artist, okay? Let's say that I want to do it for more artists. I could automate my process by creating a function, okay? This is defining a function, okay? This is also important. I don't have a webinar on this yet, okay? It's a bit more advanced in the sense of it's one of the last things that you learned when you're starting to learn Python, okay? But it is important. It's what I'm doing here. I'm defining a function, and this is how you define a function. You write def, the name of the function, whatever name you want, okay? And the parameter that's going to take the argument, okay? So I'm taking an artist, okay? I'm passing that name of the artist here in the sp.search, okay? I'm using this f here, so I'm able to pass in a variable inside my string. So this is what this f here before the quotes are doing. A string is text, right, guys? So this is string, this data type, this object type is string, okay? And if I pass in an f before the quotes, I can pass in and use variables inside here. So I'm passing in artist, and it's actually grabbing artist here. So here I'm going to be writing a name of an artist, and the quote is going to be doing this search for that artist for me. Is going to extract the track IDs like I showed you before, okay? And with the same idea of the track IDs, I'm also going to retrieve the song names, right? Just changing here the location that I had before, right? Before I had here in items, right? I go into items. I look into ID. Now I'm looking into name, okay? So I'm getting the name of the song as well. Cool. And then I pass in the audio features, okay? So I get in the audio features. Finally, transforming that into a data frame, okay? I also add the artist name to my data frame because I'm going to have to find that later, okay? And I also add the song name to my data set. So this is how pandas work. You can just create a new column and add stuff to those columns, okay? I also am thinking about doing a webinar in pandas because to go over this kind of stuff, to explain how this is exactly working as code, okay? Now that I have this, okay, I can create a for loop and loop through a list of the artists I want, okay? I created a list with Justin Bieber, Nirvana, and Pink Floyd, okay? And here I'm creating an empty data frame, okay? And this is going to be my accumulator. So in every loop, I'm going to be looking at one of these artists. I'm going to be applying the get audio features function to get all the audio features for the 50 songs of that artist, right? And then I'll be concatenating, okay, this data frame with the audio features with my previous data frame, okay? In the first time, the data frame is empty, but then I override it with the first artist, right? And then in the second loop, I'm going to generate audio features for 50 songs from Nirvana and append that, concatenate that with the ones from Justin Bieber, okay? And finally, in the next loop, we're going to be looking at Pink Floyd, okay? Getting audio features for Pink Floyd and putting that together into a data set, okay? Afterwards, I had to reset the index. Don't worry about this for now. This is just so I will have the index here in my data frame. Oops, I have to run this one first. The index here in my data frame is this extra column, okay, with highlighted numbers, okay, with these highlighted numbers. It's just a unique key that Pandas has to help identify the rows, okay? So don't worry about it. I just had to reset, so I would have from 0 to 149, and that's it. Guys, finally now, I'm going to be choosing my X. Here, I put in a Y, but this is not important. I'm going to remove this, okay? We usually have Ys when we're talking about when we're talking about supervised learning, okay? I was going to save the artist name to add later, but in the end, I did it differently, so we're not going to be using actually the Y there, okay? So you can erase it. Not going to be using that. We're going to be selecting our features, okay? So I'm looking at my data frame. Hey, Sabina, don't worry. It's being recorded, okay? So you can watch it. You're going to get into the end, to the very end, so you're going to see that how cool it is, and you're definitely going to have to watch. You're going to want to watch this later, and you'll have more time also to stop and to see, like, if you have any problems, you can stop and continue later. So watching the recording is also a good idea. Here, what I'm looking at the data frame, okay, and then I'm passing in a list, okay, of the columns I want to keep, okay? This is how from a data frame with several columns, I just want to keep these ones, okay? These are the columns I want to keep because these are the ones I'm going to feed my model, okay, guys? Only numeric values, okay? Only numeric values to train the model. We can use categorical values, like for example, color and stuff like that, but that's another class, okay? How to use, how to encode categorical values so you can use them in your model. But these are all numeric, so we're fine, okay? Because we're talking about a distance-based algorithm, right? Scale is important, okay? They are not in the same scale, okay, guys? Maybe densibility and energy might be, right? Maybe they're numbers from 0 to 1, right? But you see here that loudness, you have negative numbers, you have -6, -19, you have here zeros, you have, I don't know. You can see here that they do not obey the same scale, okay? And so they have big differences between them, right? And they don't mean the same thing. The idea of scaling, yeah, David is right. The fun is starting in a sec, okay? Testing out the model, the last 10 minutes. But the idea here, okay, of scaling is that this is important, especially when we're talking about distance-based algorithms, okay? I don't have much time to get into that, but imagine that you have two features, a feature that goes from 0 to 1 and a feature that goes from 0 to 100. The distance between them wouldn't follow what it's supposed to. You know, what they say here is that you're not comparing apples to apples, you're comparing apples to oranges or whatever, so you have to compare apples to apples. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. David is asking, how did they measure danceability? I don't know, man. This is Spotify. They do whatever they want, right? You have here some. I mean, I don't know how they measure this. They're numbers, but they do give something. They're not completely off. You'll see that they're not completely off. We have some pretty interesting results. Okay, so they are onto something for sure. Okay, so. Anyways, that's the idea. Okay, guys, you're selecting the numeric columns and you're scaling them using the standard scaler. Okay, so this line of code is making everything into the same scale. Okay, if you look now at xprep, okay, I'm going to run this one and create another cell here to print out xprep. Okay. This is going to be an array, so it's not easy to see, but bear with me here. Each of this is a line. You see that now the range of numbers are way closer to each other, okay? So when we're talking about distance-based algorithms, we need to scale, okay? I'm starting the model that we're going to use, k-means, okay? Somebody asked, can I choose the number of clusters? Yes, okay? There's a parameter that you use, and you can set the number of clusters you want. I'm setting 3 because for my business case, it makes sense, okay? I have 3 different artists in my database. I'm using 3 different clusters, okay? So Sander was quicker. He got an answer online there on how danceability is measured. So there's probably a scientific way to getting those numbers, right? But anyways, the idea of scaling is to have a smaller range of numbers, okay? And because we're using the distance between the features, this is important for our k-means model, okay? The k-means.fit is to train the algorithm. So now the algorithm is looking for similar songs to put in the same cluster, okay? And finally, now I add here I generate my predictions, okay? So I'm predicting which cluster they're going to be, and I'm adding the predictions here to the data frame, okay? So now I can print here in the end my data frame, and I'm going to have the clusters here in the end, okay? So now I have the predictions if it belongs from Justin Bieber's cluster or Nirvana's cluster or Pink Floyd's cluster, okay? How do I know if my predictions are good or not? How do I know if these clusters mean anything? If I'm going to be able to present this to my boss, right? If my manager is going to be happy with the results. You have several methods, right? Somebody mentioned a couple, right? You have elbow, you have inertia, you have silhouette score, right? So you have methods of getting numbers to see how good or not your model is. And they are usually, inertia, for example, is related on how the means or the centers of the clusters are moving around, you know. So you have like these different measures. I'm not going to get into measures because we don't have time, okay? But you have that information online. You also, in the course, for example, we learned all this in Unit 8. This is a project, this Spotify project, okay, is a project that we do throughout a whole unit. So for the full time, it's a week. For the part time, it's 3 weeks. And we build this, of course, much more robust, right? You also have time to try these scoring metrics to see how well your project is doing. This is like the very, very simplest approach to this. You see that I don't do anything but to call in the model, right? Cluster them. So you see how very basic this is, okay? This is very simple. This is a very simple approach. With a few lines of code, I generated clusters, okay? Now let's see how the way that I chose to measure my cluster, okay, is this way. I wrote this line of code, okay? This is a group by that I use pandas. So I'm looking at my data frame, with my results. I'm grouping by my clusters and my artists, okay? And I'm counting them, right? And then I'm sorting the values. So basically what I can see here is that, let me run this one. I'm gonna have to run a few here because I forgot to run these cells, I think. So let's have it all here. I don't have index anymore, apparently. So I'm going to remove, I don't know. I don't know why this errors appeared. Let's see. So I'm having a bug here. You're probably having it there too, because it's the same code that I sent you. Let's see. So I have the cluster, but I don't have index. That's it. I don't have index. So I'm just debugging the code really quick. Oops, I printed my screen by accident. There we go. So now I have the cluster and the artist. Okay, guys, I changed the code a little bit. I'm going to copy and paste on the chat, okay, in case you didn't see what I changed here. Okay. Yeah, so David, I added, you see that I didn't use the column artist and I didn't use the column song name to train my algorithm. I just used my numeric columns, okay? I did add the song name and the artist though in my original data frame, okay? Because I'm gonna need this information. I'll show you how the product is working and you see why I need this information. So I use this. So the reset index equals true. Where? I'm sorry, Chin, I'm not sure. You put it false, it is working. Okay. Here, right? So anyways, hopefully this new one that I pasted there on the chat is working, okay? It's going to return me this data frame, okay? With the clusters. So I have cluster 2 here. I don't have the count. I see. So I'm gonna add here song name. No, yeah. Song name, just because I want any column that returns me the, there is not, probably because I put a space. So this is not returning me the actual song name, right? It's returning me a count because of this dot count that I did here, okay? I just wanted one to check the count of my clusters, okay, guys? And my sorting is messed up. My sorting is now messed up. I have to sort by song name. So again, I'm going to have to paste this on the chat because I changed it a little bit. Okay, now this is correct. Now we can analyze our results. At least it's a naive way of analyzing results. Okay, guys, I don't have measures to prove to you anything, but it is already an idea that our project is in a good path, that with some workarounds, with some actual time, putting some actual time, right, we would have better results. But we can see here that on cluster 2, we had 36 songs from Pink Floyd, 14 songs from Justin Bieber, and 3 songs from Nirvana. So we see here that the clusters did something, right? This cluster number 1 has 33 songs from Nirvana, 8 songs from Pink Floyd, and 4 from Justin Bieber. So we have a cluster where most of them are Pink Floyd. We have another cluster where most of them are Nirvana. And now we have a cluster where most of them are Justin Bieber. Okay? So our clusters started to work and do something. Okay? So these are not results that are all that bad, considering that this is all I did. Okay, guys? So you see how, I'm impressed that with a few lines of code, we can do really cool stuff, right? So what can I do with this, right? Now that I have some results, what can I do with this? Okay. And this, also, I left you here a link. Okay. This link is also related to a song recommendation project. Okay. It's not so similar to the one I did. Okay. It's pretty different. It uses genre as well. So it's more complex. And it uses, it shows you how to display your results, okay? I'm not going to do this here, all right? because it's using TSNE, right? Because remember, we have several features. We cannot represent this in a 2D. So we use this TSNE to summarize all the features into two. Okay, so anyways, I'm not going to go over that. If you're interested, you can go here and you can check how you can plot your results. Okay, so a link here in the that might be of your interest. Okay, let me close these ones that I'm not using. Okay, let's test, and let me explain what I'm testing here. Okay, so first I'm going to take an input. I'm going to be choosing a song, and from that song, okay, I'm going to be recommending another one. Okay, I'm going to be using pairwise distance. Okay, what is this? This is the measure of the closest point to that. So you're going to give me a song name. I will connect to Spotify to get the song name ID so I can get the audio features for that song name. Okay, this is what I'm doing here, right? So I get your song name, I look for your song, I get the track ID of your song, I get the audio features of your song using the track ID, I put everything into a data frame, I separate the features that are important for me, okay? And then I'm going to look at my data frame, my original data frame with all the Justin Bieber, Nirvana's, and Pink Floyd songs, and I'm going to calculate all the distances between the points, okay, between my song and all the other songs, and I'm going to return the one that's closest to that, okay? And here we can check some results just to have some fun, okay? Well, I'm not going to this one. Okay, yeah, this one. So this, I already put this all into a function for you, so we can let's use it, okay? The idea is that it's going to return us the index, the row, okay? The row where the closest point is, okay? And then we can use this lock function here to get the line, okay? So this here, you can use hashtags, for example, to run a code up until a part, okay? So when I use hashtag, I have to run these two. So first let's choose a song, okay? The first one I put is Toxic from Britney Spears, just because she's been in the media for recently. And there we go. The closest one is song from row 1, okay? And now I'm going to run, and it's going to get me this line of code here, where I can grab the song name, okay? Which is Mistletoe, okay? And then, so if I run just this part, okay? And then you notice there's a comma, so I'm going to get just the name of the song, okay? And then this comma here is to return me two things, right? I want song name and the artist name, right? So Mistletoe from Justin Bieber, okay? Well, they're both pop, so it's okay that they're similar, right? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, this is just the beginning, right? I would have to test this using actual numeric ways, right? So like scientific ways of testing this, right? And right now I'm just looking at results, okay? Let's try another one. Okay, so now that you see how this is working, I put everything here inside a function, okay? Putting everything here inside a function, recommend a song, okay? Now I can run just this function, right? Look. So now I'm going to try Yellow Submarine from the Beatles, and I get All Apologies from Nirvana. At least it's not Justin Bieber, right? I don't know. Maybe. Or algorithm is already doing something here, okay? It's a toy project. It's very simple. I just have 3 categories, okay? More categories you want, harder this might get, so watch out with that. But the idea here is that with that, you can get people with similar tastes. You see, this is how Spotify recommends songs to you. This is how Amazon recommend products to you. This is how Netflix recommends series for you to watch. This is how Instagram indicates things for you to buy, right? Ads for you to watch. Based on how similar your activity is to other customers, okay? And if it was successful with the customers that are from your cluster, they're going to repeat that on you as well, Okay, so this is how recommendation systems are working. Okay, not just like this, right? This is a very toy project, very simple. This can be very complicated, right? You can spend months and years building a proper recommendation system. Okay, and this is, well, this is from Dungeons and Dragons. Like, this is a very old cartoon, and I put this because, you know, like I'm like the dungeon master that just shows up, say some shit, and then just disappears. But, you know, like, that's just what you need. Okay, guys, don't worry. Like, if you're starting, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. I was here to show you how with some very simple line of code, you can do some pretty cool stuff. Okay, if you don't know Python, if you don't know pandas, like, if you don't know anything about machine learning, of course, this is still very, I wouldn't expect you to be able to do this right now, right? But to start knowing, where do you have to start learning, right? Python, machine learning. I have those two webinars already set for you if you want to watch. And then from that, you can build in by learning a little bit more of pandas, okay? Learning how to use a dictionary properly, how to navigate through a JSON file, okay? But that's it, guys. That was it for the workshop, okay? I let the code here so you can actually you can get, for example, another idea that I had here while I didn't do it because I didn't have time, and I wouldn't have time as well to present. But what I could do now is look into my playlist. If you have Spotify, you can look into your playlists, and you can get, for example, an average to see if your playlist is more of a Nirvana, is more of a Pink Floyd, or if it's more of a Justin Bieber. You know, you could get like this kind of cool things that you can do with the same approach. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here that you can do with the same approach, right? So just so you have some ideas of how cool this can be, right? Cool. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to check now for if you have any questions that I can answer. Somebody asked how you can follow more of your workshops. I'm going to pass in. I'm going to ask Val to send the links for my, with all my webinars. Okay, it's just 3. This one is, and the other 2 I mentioned. Okay, tomorrow. Okay,
Hey,
so
Felipe, to
hey,
send
Val.
your webinars, did you say?
Yeah. On the email that you'll send them tomorrow, if you can send also the links for my other webinars, I think that would be
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
Cool. Ooh, sorry, I just saw now somebody asked to show how to download the data. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that, but now you can rewatch the whole thing, okay? And you can pause until you can, so you can actually follow along, okay? My tip here would be to understand what every single line of code here is doing, okay? A good way to start practicing, even though this might take a while, if you don't know anything of Python, this is going to take you a while, but you know, the idea would be for you to look at a line of code and understand 100% of what that line of code is doing and how that line of code is operating, okay? So you would look at the line of code, you would Google, you would look at my webinars, you would look at other YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube videos on this that you can watch, okay? A lot of cool tutorials that you can watch as well. And, you know, try to solve and understand what has been given here, okay? Then, of course, next step, right after you know the very basic technical stuff, you learned how to use Python, you know how to use pandas, you know how to use Spotify, right? You understand what an API is and how you're getting the data. You know how to navigate through a JSON file. Then you start thinking about the algorithm, right? What the algorithm is doing, how you can improve this, okay? And also about the whole idea of the product that you want in the end, okay? That's like what you're paid for in the end, right? Not just applying some code, right? You have to come up with solutions and get to some solutions, okay? So guys, that's it for the webinar. Let's check here. Another question, we now use only numeric features. Is it possible to use qualitative string features? David asked that. Yes, you can, okay? You have to encode those features though. Encoding is, for example, we have a categorical column that's a color and it's blue and yellow, okay? Machine learning algorithms will not understand that. You have to make a column called blue and a column called yellow and put zeros and ones. So if it's yellow, it's going to be 0, 1. If it's blue, it's going to be 1, 0. You see? You have to encode those categorical values, okay? You have functions on pandas to help you to do that as well. Can you please allow us to access the recording later? Yes, the recording will be sent. It's in the same link, but it will also be sent to you tomorrow by Val's email. The time, okay, that's it. So cool, guys. That's it. Okay, my class starts in 5 minutes, so I really need to go. Let's hear on the chat about the recordings. I answered already. Can you go over the step to find the JSON in the console? So Gisha, I don't really have time to go over that, but now the recording is there, so you can watch it and pause it and truly understand what I mean by going over here in this JSON lint. This is what's going to help you travel through the JSON file, okay? And then the syntax part is understanding how you use dictionaries in Python, okay? So you have to understand first how you use dictionaries in Python. And finally here, David asked, how difficult do you think would be to create a code that takes an input, a list of songs that hypothetically you listened, okay? So you can get actually your playlist from Spotify, for example, okay? You can get that easy, okay? Look at the documentation from Spotify and you'll see that it's not hard to get information from your playlist, okay? Output of and as output, a list of X songs recommended using the same approach. Yes, so it's from this, small changes, okay? First thing, you need to access here we're looking for tracks, so you'd have to look for playlists, okay? It's probably a small change there. I don't know by heart. I would have to go to the documentation to see, but I'm sure it's not going to be a hard change, okay? And then the amount of songs that you will indicate is up to you, right? I'm indicating just one. I'm recommending just one. But you could recommend that one, remove that one from your data frame, and then get another one, the closest one after you remove the one that was closer, right? So you can generate there a list of how many songs you want, okay? Yeah, so multiple inputs and multiple outputs would work. You could put this into a loop, for example. You could use, like I did here with this other function, right? So you saw that I created the recommend songs function. Where is it? And now I created this, function, right? And used this function in a loop, right? This would be a similar idea that you can apply to this other function that I left it ready for you here, okay? I'm using it here just by itself, but you could apply this in a loop. Okay, guys? So again, hope you enjoyed. Sorry about just leaving like this. I really need to go. My class starts in 2 minutes. Okay, Val, you have anything
Thank
to
you
wrap
so
up
much,
here?
Felipe. Thanks to you. And yeah, you have 2 minutes to to go to your class. So thank you so much, and thank you guys for attending this webinar. As Felipe mentioned, tomorrow we will send you an email with all the different resources plus the replay for any of you that want to, like to see all the explanation. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day.
Awesome, guys. Thanks
Bye.
all for coming. Really cool being here with you.